Croeso pawb to the game's under £20 UK PSN sale. This sale ends on the 31st of March, so that'll be your last day to pick up these deals. Okay, let's look at the games. The first game we have is Adrift. It was released in 2016, so it's 5 years old, and is on a 75% discount for the price of £3.99, which is really good. This is a survival adventure game, where you play an astronaut stranded in the wreckage of a destroyed space station, and now you must salvage tech and repair the systems in order to survive and call for help. I've played this game and it's absolutely beautiful. The only thing I don't like about it is that on PC it's playable in VR, and they're not going to convert it for PSVR, which is devastating because this game would be amazing in VR. It's a truly missed opportunity, it really is. But other than that, it's a really cool game that's also pretty unique and fun. I'd recommend taking a look if you're anyway interested by what I've said. Art of Fighting Anthology is our next game. It was released in 2017, so it's 4 years old, but the games are much older than that really. It's on an 80% discount for a price of £2.39, which is really good because it includes 3 games. These games are fighters, and it includes the Art of Fighting 1, 2 and 3, with a plot following the Sakazaki family as they fight corrupt police, and it also features an alternate bonus soundtrack as well. There are 3 collections of old school arcade fighters in this sale, so if you're not a fan of the Art of Fighting series, then take a look in the rest of the sale because there's 2 more options for you. Next we have Constructor Plus. It was released in 2019, so it's 2 years old, but it's really a game from the 90s, so keep that in mind. It's on a 70% discount for the price of £4.79, which is pretty good. This is a 90s classic management sim where you become a property developer and you get to build up yourself by wheeling, dealing and thieving all the way. You don't have to be legal, and it features 140 buildings, 65 pre-built towns, 17 worlds and 15 different story modes. This game is basically SimCity, but with more crime and comedy. So if you like your city building games not so serious, there's a lot of fun for you here. It's a bit quirky though, so if you're not a fan of this genre, or you haven't played any before, this may not be the best place to start. Up next is Digimon Stories CyberSleuth Hacker's Memory. That's a crazy name. It was released in 2018, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for a price of £8.99, which isn't bad. This is an RPG where you play as Kazuki Amazawa, who has been accused of a crime you didn't commit, and so you must journey into the digital world, joining a group of hackers to prove your innocence. Digimon fans will probably love this game, but if you're just an RPG fan, then you might not enjoy this game as much, and there are other RPGs around for you to look at, so weigh up your options and make your decision then. Now we have Dog Duty. It was released in 2020, so it's 1 year old, and it's on a 90% discount for the price of £1.59, which is really cheap. This is a real-time strategy game where you play as a 3-person band of misfits, fighting against the evil octopus commander and his army. You get to liberate islands one at a time, and fight crazy Octomachine bosses. This seems like a fun little strategy game for fans of the genre, and if you've never played this sort of genre before, then at this price you might want to check it out, so at least you haven't wasted a lot of money if you don't like the genre. We have a bike racer next, Ducati 90th Anniversary. It was released in 2016, so it's 5 years old, and is on an 85% discount for a price of £1.34, which is really cheap for a licensed game. This game is made by the creators of the Ride series, and you get to drive 39 models of Ducati bikes from 7 great eras, with 5 country tracks and 8 official circuits, including the Misano World Circuit. There's a lot for you to like if you love Ducati. And it also includes a virtual Ducati museum, so there's a lot of cool features added for the Ducati fans out there. But let's face it, if you're not a Ducati fan, there's probably not a lot for you in this game, unless you're just looking for a really cheap bike racer, in which case why not for this price. More old school fighting games now, with Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 2. It was released in 2017, so it's 4 years old, but again the games are much older than that. And it's on an 80% discount for the price of £2.39, the same as the other bundles. This again has 3 classic fighters, Fatal Fury 1, Special and 2. There's not a lot of difference between this bundle and the other one, so basically if you're more a fan of Fatal Fury than you are the others, then pick this one up. But if you're not, take a look at the others, or maybe something else in the sale if you're not into old school fighting games at all. Another old school classic next, Grim Fandango Remastered. It was released in 2015, so it's 6 years old, but it's a remaster of a much older game. It's on an 80% discount for £2.39, which is really good. This is a point-and-click adventure, and in this legendary game you play as Manny Calavera, a travel agent to the dead. You experience classic point-and-click gameplay, remastered for modern hardware. So you'll have to be a fan of old-school point-and-click adventures to enjoy this, with obtuse puzzles and some pretty confusing solutions at times. It may be a classic, but you have to be a fan of the genre to enjoy it. But at this price, it's worth it if you are. An old-school PlayStation game next, Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life Special Edition. It was released in 2017, so it's 4 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £2.99, which is pretty good. This is a farming simulator game, and it's part of the biggest farming simulator franchise in history, probably. I love the older versions of this game, especially the Game Boy games, and it's basically what Stardew Valley ripped off, so if you like Stardew Valley, this is what it started it all. In this game, you inherit a disheveled farm from your father, and you spend your time rebuilding it, planting crops and rearing animals, while exploring the local valley community, making friends and finding a bride to marry. It's a pretty simplistic game, but it's a lot of fun to play, and there's a lot of, just one more thing, or I'll just do this sort of gameplay to it. There's a huge fan base for this series, so you guys will definitely want to pick it up, and if you've never played one of these before, if you're willing to deal with the old school graphics, there's a lot of fun to be had in this game. Up next is a bit of a weird one. Hatterfull Boyfriend is released in 2015, so it's 6 years old, and is on an 80% discount for the low price of £1.59. This is a visual novel, and it's really weird. You play as the only human attending a school full of birds. Yeah, the flying type. This was a pretty big deal when it released, and like I said, it's really weird. But if you're a fan of visual novels, you definitely have heard of this before, and you'll love it if you haven't played it. But again, it's really weird, and it's not my cup of tea. So if you're not a fan of visual novels or you haven't played them before, definitely don't start here. Start with something else instead. More old school next. Legend of K Anniversary. It was released in 2015, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £4.99, which isn't bad. This is a third-person action platformer, and it's a remaster of the 90s classic, with enhanced graphics, and in this game you get to use martial arts combat while performing platforming and puzzling through a world inspired by ancient China. If you're a fan of old school platformer games like Mario and that sort of thing, you'll really enjoy this. And if you haven't played them before, this is probably a good one to start on, and it would be a great game for a kid as well. It's a pretty good deal. More VR now. Pinball FX2 VR. It was released in 2017, so it's 4 years old, and it's on a 65% discount for the price of £4.19, which is really good. This is a pinball game, and it includes 3 fully VR pinball tables, The Secrets of the Deep, Mars, and Epic Quest. Each pinball table has a fully realised VR room for you to play it in, and a lot of the features of the table are in the room or appear around you as you play, which makes it a really different experience for pinball fans. If you have a PSVR and you're a fan of pinball, this is your only option, but it's also a really good one. And there are more tables you can buy for it as well, although I'd wait for them to go on sale if you're looking at those. Space Hulk Deathwing Enhanced Edition is our next game. It was released in 2018, so it's 3 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £6.24, which is pretty decent. This edition includes new modes with randomised objectives and enemies, a new class to play, weaponry, enemies and customizations, so there's a lot of extra included in this edition. This is a first-person shooter where you play as a space marine of the Deathwing and engage in a desperate battle against the Gene Stealers within a Space Hulk. You gain skills and abilities while playing, and it has solo play but also 4-player online co-op, so if you've got friends to play this with you'll love it, and especially if you're a fan of 40k you should really enjoy this game. It's got great reviews and it looks really decent. I'm kinda surprised this isn't more well known of a game, because it looks like a fun first-person shooter, whether you like 40k or not. Especially with the 4-player co-op, which they don't have in a lot of first-person shooters these days, and I really wish more games would have it. Next we have Sword Art Online Lost Song. It was released in 2015, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 84% discount for the price of £7.19, which is really good. This is an action RPG where you join Kirito as he explores Svartalfheim online for the first time, with an original story filled with familiar faces and a new aerial battle system with many customizations. This looks like a pretty decent RPG, although again Sword Art Online fans will have a lot more fun than others will. So consider that if you're looking at it. The last old school fighter bundle is next. The King of Fighters collection, the Orochi Saga, is released in 2018, so it's 3 years old, but again they're much older than that. And it's on an 80% discount for a price of £2.39, just like the others. This collection includes King of Fighters 94, 95, 96, 97 and 98. And it also includes an alternate soundtrack for the series as well, which makes it the best value of the 3 collections, because you get an extra 2 games for the same price. But again, if you're not a fan of King of Fighters, you might not want to buy it anyway. So if you want an old school fighter collection, and you're not bothered what the franchise is, this is the one for you. My star buy is next, the Surge Augmented Edition. It was released in 2018, so it's 3 years old, and is on an 80% discount for the price of £4.99, which is really good, because it includes 2 full expansions and 5 DLC packs. This is basically Dark Souls, but sci-fi. And in the story, robots have gone haywire, and now it's up to you with your heavy-grade exoskeleton to fight huge bosses, gaining new equipment and abilities along the way. So like I said, it's basically Dark Souls, but sci-fi. So if you're a fan of Dark Souls, you'll probably really like this game, especially if you prefer sci-fi over medieval. But if you're not a fan of Dark Souls or Souls-like games, then this is very similar, i.e. difficult and challenging, with a lot of skill-based gameplay. Keep away from it if you know it's not for you. And the final game I have for you is Wipeout Omega Collection. It was released in 2017, so it's 4 years old, and it's on a 60% discount for the price of £11.99, which is okay. This is a futuristic racing series, and it includes 3 full games, Wipeout HD, Fury, and 2048, plus a new ship and some more extras thrown in as well. You get to race over 46 futuristic gravity-defying ships on 26 reversible tracks in 9 game modes. And on top of that, it's also fully playable in VR, which is unbelievably awesome. I'm a huge fan of this racing series. I don't like racing games in general, but I've loved this series ever since PlayStation 1. And the fact that you can play the whole thing in VR, oh my god, this is unbelievable in VR. There's not a lot of racing games like this around these days, which is a bit of a shame. So if you're a fan of old school F-Zero games, or a Wipeout fan, then you'll absolutely love this package, especially if you've got a PSVR headset, it'll blow you away. And if you've never played a Wipeout game before, this is a good place to start, because you get a lot of game included for your money, and it's also the most modern version as well. Curious racing fans should definitely take a look at the series. And that's all the games I have for you for the Games Under £20 UK PSN sale. What did you think of the games I picked? If you liked them, drop the video a like, and if you didn't like them, then put your complaints in the comments and we can argue about it later. And that includes the star buy as well. Do you think I should have picked something else? Did you like the one I picked? Do you think I missed games out completely that should have been included? Like I said, throw all your complaints down in the comments and we can argue about it later. I hope you guys found some games you're interested in, but more importantly, I hope you guys saved a lot of money. I'll see you guys in the next sale. Hoil Vour.